welcome back. It's Shelby, and today we are building off of the faux rock tutorial that I did a little bit earlier. If you didn't catch that video, I'll link it above so you kind of know what we're talking about today. But basically, I want to expand on the crafting and DIY capabilities of that. So we are going to be making a really cool necklace pendant charm today, and it's going to look like little pebbles and natural rocks that you have kind of drilled through and carved through, all without the hassle of having to figure out how to and safely how to and get the equipment for being able to cut through rocks. So with that in mind, I will link everything you need down in the description below. It's basically just the oven dry clay. I use I think it's called FIMO brand. It's the FIMO. Maybe it's FIMO. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it, but I will link that down below along with my socials so that you have everything you need to do this craft, and let's get going.
So these are my choices for the clays. I have gray, sparkly black, translucent white, and red. A couple of them are effects, which means they either sparkle or go translucent, and the other ones are just soft and easier to work with.
So we're going to start with the findings kit, just like this. Flip up to these long sticky things, that's what we need, and then just kind of push one out of the package. I've already made a hole in my package, so I'm just going to shoot for that. Right up here so it's not easy for them to escape on their own. Put that to the side. This is what we are going to be working with. Paper towel down, and then grab some of your, you just put this off to the side somewhere. Grab some of your clay to start making rocks with. I'm definitely going to need some black. Maybe a touch of red for accent. For sure some white. A bit of pearlized black. Pretty similar to the original, just a little bit of shine in there, so don't want to overload on that because it's not going to help me out and be super visible. It's just mainly going to make it look darker. This is some pale gray with some shimmers in it. It's not super sparkly, and most rocks aren't glittery, but a lot of them do have little shimmers in there, so definitely want this to read a little bit lighter, so I'm putting what I think is a fair amount of clay there. Now we're going to start working it into sections.
So this part I'm speeding up really fast because I'm just literally kneading the different clay together just by color, but keeping them in separate piles until they're all soft and easy to work with, because fresh out of the package it's a little bit crumbly and more difficult to work with. So literally nothing's going on here. I'm just kneading them until they are nice and soft and in their own little color piles without any little crumbles sticking out or anything like that. And then we will resume with the project.
Now we're going to start making our pebbles. So basically what you want to do for this is just bear in mind how long your stick is. So this has to be the whole necklace charm. So I need to get all my little pebbles in there and something surrounding it with enough for me to make a loop at the top. So I need at least that much left. So my whole pendant can only really be about an inch and a half. So keep that in mind when you're working with your clay, and when you're making your pebbles, you're going to want to definitely keep that in mind because you're surrounding your pebbles, so they need to be even smaller than you think. But you can cheat and make a couple pebbles at a time, and as long as you don't put them right next to each other, you can't really tell. Secret ingredient, dryer lint. I know it's weird, but it totally works. Wrap that up in there. It's going to give that nice texture. It's going to give a little bit of that fibrous edge sticking out and just make it look like a real rock, one with a little bit of growth on it maybe, or at the very least one with a different colored veins running through it of different types of minerals. There we go. That looks pretty good, like a nice little marbled effect. You can kind of see the little tendrils of the dryer lint in there. So this is definitely too big for a pebble, but this could be multiple pebbles. I'll pull that off, make it nice and round and smushed flat like a little pancake, because that's what we need. A little triangle, which is nice, and then from the side you can kind of see the marbling as well. So this is a great little pebble here. Nice and flat. This one might still be too big actually. We'll rip that apart again.
And even though you're making these from the same batch, because the swirl hits it differently and the dryer lint is coming through in ununiform ways and patterns, it still looks like a different rock batch. So the coloring might be the same or at least incredibly similar, but the rocks aren't going to look the same. Each of the patterns is going to be a little bit different and they're going to look unique. Definitely want some red in there. This is a very bright red, so need to temper it with some of that black. I'm choosing the shiny sparkly black for that. And then a little bit of gray because the red and black doesn't look natural without a little bit of a tempering color. And then for this one, I'm using a darker bit of dryer lint. I'm just rolling that on in there. Gotta keep this one kind of on the outside so that it's not poking through the center the way the blue one was. It's really just giving that very kicked around outside in the dirt kind of vibe. I think especially with the bright red, that's gonna help kind of temper that down a little bit and make it look a little bit more natural. Almost like a rock that just happens to look red in certain lights rather than a bright red rock. So there we go. Just like that. That is again too large for our pebbles, so we're gonna make little pebbles out of that. Nice little one. You can see the little swirls in that, the little red reflecting, the silver reflecting, and then it's not nearly as dark as the other one, so this is good. Just make sure to like keep a little bit of irregular corners on them. Smash them against things a little bit so that they're not perfect discs, because rocks aren't perfect discs. So give them a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a corner to make them perfectly uniform. Maybe smush down an edge like that. Just so it's an interesting and unique composition. There we go, that looks pretty good. This one, same batch, but definitely darker and a different look. I like with the white because it makes it a very marbleized effect. This one turned out really cool. That looks super, super awesome. Looks very textural, and since it's a white translucent, some of it will stay white and some of it will kind of go translucent and look very realistic. So I think I have enough pebbles here to fill up probably that much, maybe a little bit more. Some more work on the big outside rock portion. Mix some of my darker colors together. My black's in there. We'll temper it with a little bit of the gray dryer lint. Just get that kind of mushed around, get that fibrous texture in there. You can see it already adds a little bit of a marble effect. That's just the dryer lint right there. That's not even clay. There we go. Now it's not really mixing in with the clay anymore, so we're gonna start adding in our other bits of clay here. Working the gray a little bit just because it hardened up on me. I'm using the gray to try and get a marbling effect because I know I have a lot of white right here ready to go. So if I overwork this before I add in the red and the gray and the black kind of mesh together, that's okay. My pebbles are pretty dark. They range from pretty light to pretty dark and then some with a little bit of a red tint. So I'm not super concerned about this being really dark. In fact, if it's a little bit lighter, that'll just add some better contrast. I do love this marbling effect. Let's just add in a little touch of red there. Create some cool effects with the way you pinch it together. You're not necessarily going for uniformity. In fact, you're not going for uniformity at all. You're going for interesting marbling texture and shapes. So the gray is almost completely gone, eaten up by the black in there, but there's still some veins, which is nice. So I'm kind of pushing the veins together. A lot of red in there. and with the addition of clay, it's getting easier to work with. The fibers of the dryer lint are more evenly dispersed. They're not just a bunch in the center, making it difficult to work. They're becoming user-friendly, more moldable, making it a little bit easier for me. So I'm gonna add my white, and this is gonna be the final addition. And I'm pretty sure, just eyeballing it, that this is the correct size that I need in order to make this surround my pebbles and look really good. So that's what we're hoping for. I can always add some clay. I can take a little bit away if I need to, but right now I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna worry about making a cool looking stone. There we go. That looks pretty neat. What I'm gonna do now is just kind of mold it around into a circle. I guess an oval, really. And pinch the ends together. And I'm gonna turn it. So this is my pinched ends. That's a weak point because I'm not really working the clay together. So I don't want the top of the stick to come out there because it's just gonna break it apart. That's all it's gonna do. So I'm turning it to the side, so the weak point is on a side, and the strong points, where the stick will be going through, the little metal pick, is nice and solid. So this doesn't need to be perfect as far as shape goes. You want it to be relatively uniform because otherwise it's gonna sit weird. So don't have it like super fat and then super thin, but also don't have it all be the same. Basically the idea is that you had a little oval stone and carved out the center. That's what we're going for with this. So the outside is nice and smooth. That's what I'm going for. I'm gonna grab a little tool to help me with this. Now this is just a coffee stir stick, and what I'm using it for is just to get a nice flat edge on the inside. The idea is to make it look like you took a tool and cut out the inside of the stone. Make it a little bit flat and like try to make a little bit of a sharp edge if you can, just like that. It's just gonna look a little bit more realistic. There we go. Now we're going to do the hard part, and that is assembly. So figure out which way you want your stones to sit. I think I want a red in between those. And not all of them might not fit. So I don't want, so see, you gotta pay attention to composition here. See, I have the white vein there. I don't want a white vein next to it. I want to offset it. So maybe a little bit of red down there. That could be good. I could do some white up here. So then I have two whites together. I think I can squeeze in one more. That's about it. That's about all I can squeeze in. So that's perfect, and that is the order that they will go in. Keep them in order, and then just make sure you have enough room in here. Go back in with your stick. You'll be able to mold it a little bit once your faux pebbles are inside, but just trying to make it as much like what you want it to look like now as possible. I don't like perfect ovals. I find that a lot of rocks tend to have a point and then a little point. It's almost like a fake square, but not symmetrical. So I tend to do that because I think it's a very kind of natural look, and then like a little wider on the bottom. So now we're gonna go through the bottom with our pick. It's gonna poke right through. We're gonna start with the red. Try to get it centered, poke it through. We have this one, figure out how you want it. I think I want it to sit like that. Poke that one through the center as well. Just till you reach your finger, and then slightly down. We have the other red. I would like it to sit like this. The silver one's pretty cool. I think I want it like that. Try to make sure you get it through the center of the quote-unquote stone. This one's awesome. I really like this one. I actually like the flat side best, but there's not enough room to put a flat side, so we're just gonna make it like this, and then we're gonna twist it a little bit because I want that side in front, and then finish off with our little white stone that looks as much like marble as I think it could. So there we go. Poke the end just slightly through.
just slightly through the top there, not much. Pull it down, kind of stretch your clay above it. If you have the stick sticking up too much through it, at this point you're going to be making a slice in here. We don't want that. So just kind of stretch your clay over the top of it. Try to get it as centered as possible, and then just push all the way up. Wasn't centered. All right, that's coming back down. Or push up as much through the center as possible. This is what's going to connect to your necklace, so you need to make sure that it comes out of a good part of the clay and not the side. There we go. That looks pretty awesome. It's definitely not as short as I was going for, so I need to make sure that I have enough room at the top that I'll be able to spin this around onto my necklace pendant. And push that down a little bit. Make this look as much like a hollowed out rock as possible. I can use the little metal down here to really kind of shrink these down a little bit. There we go. I think that looks pretty cool, and no matter which way you wear it, it looks pretty cool, and it does look like a hollowed out rock with pebbles inside. So unfortunately we didn't use this little pebble here, and it is pretty cute, but we could always use it later in the necklace, either above or in another craft. But this is going to go into the oven for 30 minutes at 230 degrees Fahrenheit. So I haven't hooked it up to the necklace yet, but look at how cool of a pendant this is. Like, seriously? That's amazing. That's so awesome. You can see the little rocks in there, but it all looks incredibly natural. It kind of looks like a carved out stone, which is what we were going for. That was the part that I made the two bits of clay joined together, and it just looks like almost like a piece of agate or something that was just like kind of torn apart. You can see the different rock details in there. You have the marbling, you've got the slightly different colors, you've got a little bit of the texture from the dryer lint. This is super cool. I'm very, very pleased with this, and I'm going to finish turning it into a pendant for a necklace. Okay guys, time for the reveal. I will either do a super close-up before this or after in the video, so if you just saw it, sorry, and that intro makes no sense, but it turned out really, really neat. It actually looks like real stone. It's got some cool variations in there as far as the color and the texture and what each of the individual little pebbles looks like. But I honestly am super pleased with this. I think it turned out really amazingly. Like the different veins of rock in there, well, rock, the marbling effect, the different colors, it all just looks fabulous and really, really realistic. So the next step is to mount it on a necklace. So I have just a little chain here, and what I'm gonna do is take this stick up here where we really didn't leave ourselves that much room, take a multi-purpose tool, you guys know I love these, grab the top just like that, and roll down until you reach a loop, just like that. Then we're gonna stick our chain in here, just because I'm lazy and it's easier to do this than to run it through at the end. And we're gonna close that loop. Just like that. And we have a really cool necklace. I'm gonna put this on and do some close-ups at the end, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the craft. I loved making it. I think this is a really cool kind of way of crafting with the faux rock and just making the oven dry clay. I think it's really neat, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know by hitting that thumbs up if you did. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.